Hey everyone, welcome back to SwitchTop. 2026 is shaping up to be an absolutely massive year for Nintendo gamers. We've got incredible titles coming to both the original Switch and Switch 2, and today I'm counting down the 15 games you absolutely need to keep on your radar. These are the heavy hitters that could define gaming this year. Let's jump right in. Elden Ring Tarnished Edition is set to arrive on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, bringing the full scope of From Software's landmark action RPG to a portable-focused audience in a complete package. This edition bundles the entire base game alongside the massive Shadow of the Erdtree expansion, adding new regions, enemies, weapons, armor, and progression options while preserving the core design that made the original so compelling. Gameplay revolves around deliberate, stamina-driven combat, where timing, positioning, and build choices matter just as much as raw skill, whether you favor heavy melee weapons, agile dodging styles, spellcasting, or hybrid approaches. Exploration remains a defining pillar, with a vast open world that encourages curiosity through hidden paths, optional bosses, and layered level design that seamlessly blends open landscapes with tightly crafted dungeons. The story unfolds in the bleak yet fascinating Lands Between, where you play as a Tarnished, called back from exile to gather the shattered fragments of the Elden Ring and shape the future of a broken realm ruled by fallen demigods. Rather than direct exposition, the narrative is delivered through environmental storytelling, cryptic dialogue, and item descriptions, rewarding attentive players with deep lore. Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties is set to launch on February 12, 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a modernized take on one of the series' most emotionally grounded entries, alongside a brand new companion story. The Kiwami remake rebuilds Yakuza 3 with updated visuals, smoother performance, and refined combat systems that emphasize close-quarters brawling, responsive counters, and heat actions that reward precise timing and positioning. Exploration blends dense urban hubs with a more relaxed Okinawan setting, packed with side quests, minigames, and optional activities that contrast everyday life with criminal conflict. The story follows Kazuma Kiryu as he protects the Morning Glory orphanage while being pulled back into dangerous Tojo clan politics, mixing heartfelt character moments with escalating underworld tension. Dark Ties expands the package with a new playable storyline centered on Yoshitaka Mine, offering a different combat rhythm and perspective through underground arenas and survival-focused encounters. Together, both experiences deliver a strong balance of narrative depth, methodical combat, and immersive world design, making this bundle a standout action drama release for Switch 2 in 2026. Dispatch arrives on January 28, 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, bringing its narrative-driven superhero workplace drama to handheld play with performance enhancements on the newer hardware. Instead of fighting crime directly, you play as Robert Robertson III, a former armored hero reassigned to a dispatch desk after a career-ending incident, now responsible for coordinating a team of reformed villains across a modern city. Gameplay blends choice-driven storytelling with light strategy and management mechanics, asking you to assign the right heroes to emergencies based on their abilities, personalities, and flaws, while juggling limited resources and escalating threats. Conversations unfold through branching dialogue trees that shape relationships, mission outcomes, and long-term character arcs, supported by interactive elements like quick-time events and contextual decision moments. The story leans heavily into character-focused writing and workplace tension, mixing sharp humor with personal drama as you rebuild trust, manage unpredictable teammates, and uncover deeper conflicts beneath everyday dispatch calls. With its strong emphasis on narrative pacing, meaningful choices, and a fresh angle on the superhero genre, Dispatch stands out as a smart, story-first experience to watch on Switch and Switch 2 in 2026.
Weird insurance claim.
The way things are going, I'd cut the whole damn team.
All of you in this room have set this program ablaze with your bullshit.
You're right at home behind that desk because you're no...
Reanimal is set to release on February 13th, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a dark, atmospheric survival horror experience built around tension, exploration, and cooperation. Developed by Tarsier Studios, the game follows a brother and sister returning to a twisted island that was once their home, now overtaken by grotesque creatures and haunting remnants of the past, as they search for missing friends and a way to escape. Gameplay blends cinematic platforming, environmental puzzles, and stealth-focused survival, encouraging players to carefully observe their surroundings, use limited tools, and avoid direct confrontation whenever possible. A strong emphasis is placed on co-op mechanics, allowing two players to work together locally or online, with each sibling's actions directly affecting the other's safety and progression. Traversal is deliberately slow and methodical, spanning ruined structures, flooded areas navigated by boat, and shadow-filled interiors that constantly build unease. Storytelling relies on visual cues, sound design, and subtle environmental details rather than exposition, creating a disturbing yet emotionally grounded journey. With its unsettling tone, cooperative design, and handcrafted horror atmosphere, Reanimal stands out as a must-watch Switch 2 title for players drawn to tense, story-driven experiences in 2026. The Duskbloods is scheduled to release in 2026 as a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, marking a bold new direction for From Software while retaining the studio's signature dark fantasy tone. Set in a gothic, Victorian-inspired world on the brink of collapse, the game centers on a cataclysmic era known as the Twilight of Humanity, where powerful warriors called Bloodsworn clash over the mythical First Blood, a force said to determine the future of the world. Gameplay shifts away from traditional, solo-focused action RPG design toward a multiplayer-driven PvP/VE structure, supporting up to 8 players in tense, arena-like environments filled with hostile creatures, shifting objectives, and unpredictable events. Each Bloodsworn character features distinct weapons, supernatural abilities, and combat roles, encouraging tactical decision-making, adaptability, and moment-to-moment awareness as players balance direct combat against rivals with survival against environmental threats. Victory is earned through a point-based system tied to combat performance, objectives, and opportunistic play, creating dynamic matches that reward both aggression and strategy. While the narrative is delivered through atmospheric world-building rather than explicit storytelling, the Duskbloods blends From Software's trademark mood and visual identity with a competitive multiplayer focus.
Tears will flow for one, and one alone.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is scheduled to arrive on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, bringing a cinematic, story-driven action-adventure inspired by the classic film era of the franchise. Developed by Machine Games, the game is set in 1937 and places players in the role of Indiana Jones as he uncovers a globe-spanning mystery tied to the ancient power known as the Great Circle, racing against dangerous forces seeking to exploit it. Gameplay is built around immersive first-person exploration with seamless transitions into third-person traversal, using Indy's iconic whip to swing across gaps, disarm enemies, and manipulate the environment. Combat favors improvisation and positioning over constant gunplay, blending stealth takedowns, fistfights, and limited firearm use to maintain tension. Levels are designed as semi-open hubs filled with environmental puzzles, hidden relics, optional objectives, and historical secrets that reward curiosity and observation. The narrative unfolds through cinematic sequences and in-game discoveries, capturing the tone of classic adventure films while emphasizing discovery, danger, and momentum. With its strong focus on exploration, puzzle solving, and atmospheric storytelling, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle stands out as a major narrative experience for Switch 2 players in 2026.
you want to know?
The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, is set to release in 2026 for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a modern HD 2D action RPG that blends classic adventure design with real-time combat and exploration. Developed by Square Enix and Claytek Works, the game follows Elliot, a young adventurer who leaves the safety of humanity's last kingdom to explore the dangerous continent of Philadelphia, alongside his fairy companion, Faye, in search of ancient ruins and long-buried truths. Gameplay focuses on fluid, skill-based combat, where players freely switch between weapons such as swords, bows, and sickles, each offering distinct combat options and upgrade paths through magicite crystals that allow deep customization. Exploration plays a major role, with interconnected fields, dungeons, and shrines built around environmental puzzles, timing-based challenges, and hidden routes that reward curiosity. Faye supports Elliot both in combat and traversal, and can be controlled by a second player in optional co-op, adding tactical flexibility without disrupting solo play. Storytelling unfolds gradually through discovery rather than exposition, emphasizing mystery, ruins, and the passage of time.
Try out all sorts of variations to find the playstyle that works for you. Careful! Your fairy companion, Faye, can also attack and pick up items. You can control both Elliot and Faye separately.
Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition is set to release on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, bringing the most complete version of Bethesda's open-world RPG to Nintendo hardware. This edition includes the full base game alongside all major expansions such as Far Harbor, Nuka World, Automatron, and the Workshop DLCs, plus a large collection of Creation Club content that expands quests, gear, and customization. Set in the post-apocalyptic Commonwealth, the story follows a lone survivor emerging from Vault 111 in search of their missing child, navigating a fractured world shaped by rival factions, moral choices, and the consequences of nuclear fallout. Gameplay blends first- and third-person shooting with RPG progression, allowing players to develop distinct builds through perks, weapon modifications, and armor crafting, while the VATS system adds a tactical layer to combat. Exploration is tightly connected to scavenging and survival, encouraging players to loot ruins, manage resources, and build settlements that function as defensive hubs, trading posts, or personal strongholds. Quests are largely non-linear, supporting multiple outcomes based on dialogue and allegiance, which fuels emergent storytelling rather than a fixed narrative path. Pragmata is set to release on April 24th, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a distinctive sci-fi action-adventure that blends combat, strategy, and atmospheric storytelling. Developed by Capcom, the game is set on a desolate lunar research station controlled by a hostile artificial intelligence, where isolation and mystery shape every encounter. Players follow Hugh Williams, a lone spacefarer, and Diana, an advanced android whose abilities are central to both gameplay and narrative progression. Combat unfolds from a third-person perspective and revolves around dual-character cooperation. Hugh focuses on shooting, movement, and jetpack-assisted mobility, while Diana hacks enemy systems in real time through grid-based puzzles that expose weak points and disable defenses mid-fight. This creates a tactical rhythm where timing, positioning, and smart hacking matter as much as raw reflexes. Exploration emphasizes verticality, environmental interaction, and slow burn tension as players navigate abandoned facilities and uncover fragments of the station's past. The story leans on visual storytelling and character dynamics rather than exposition, gradually revealing the truth behind the AI takeover and Diana's origins. 007 First Light is scheduled to release on May 27, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering an original action-adventure that explores the early days of James Bond before he becomes the iconic 00 agent. Developed by IO Interactive, the game tells a standalone origin story that follows a younger, less polished Bond as he undertakes high-risk missions around the world, gradually earning his license to kill. Gameplay blends third-person stealth, gunplay, and gadget-driven interaction, encouraging players to read situations carefully and choose between silent infiltration, clever use of distractions, or direct confrontation when things go wrong. Mission design favors open-ended levels with multiple routes, tools, and solutions, allowing experimentation and emergent moments rather than rigid scripting. Gadgets, environmental awareness, and timing play a major role, reinforcing the fantasy of being a spy rather than a pure action hero. The narrative focuses on Bond's growth, relationships with key figures like M, Q, and Moneypenny, and the pressures of espionage, balancing grounded character development with cinematic set pieces.
Any sage advice?
Too nice.
Always.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is scheduled to launch on January 22, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, bringing Square Enix's cinematic reimagining of a JRPG classic to Nintendo hardware with expanded content and refined presentation. Set in the industrial city of Midgar, the story follows Cloud Strife, a former soldier turned mercenary, as he joins the resistance group Avalanche in their fight against the Shinra Corporation, gradually uncovering deeper truths about the planet's life force and his own fractured past. Gameplay blends real-time action with tactical command-based systems, allowing free movement, dodging, and basic attacks while pausing to issue abilities, spells, items, and devastating limit breaks, creating a rhythm that rewards both reflexes and planning. Character growth revolves around weapon upgrades, materia customization, and party synergy, encouraging varied combat styles without overwhelming complexity. The Intergrade version also includes episode Intermission, a standalone side story starring Yuffie Kisaragi that introduces fresh mechanics, environments, and narrative perspective. Exploration balances guided storytelling with optional encounters and secrets that deepen world building. Resident Evil Requiem is scheduled to release on February 27, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering the 9th mainline entry in Capcom's long-running survival horror series, with a renewed focus on tension and perspective-driven storytelling. Set years after the fall of Raccoon City, the narrative follows FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft as she investigates a disturbing chain of incidents linked to her mother's past, eventually crossing paths with veteran agent Leon S. Kennedy as their stories intertwine. Gameplay is structured around two contrasting playstyles. Grace's sections emphasize vulnerability, stealth, and careful resource management, pushing players to rely on hiding, environmental awareness, and limited tools, while Leon's segments lean toward more assertive combat with refined gunplay, defensive maneuvers, and adaptive enemy encounters. A key mechanic allows players to switch between first-person and third-person perspectives, altering both immersion and tactical approach depending on the situation. Exploration is slow and deliberate, with oppressive environments, puzzle solving, and enemies that behave in unsettling, unpredictable ways to reinforce psychological horror. The story unfolds through investigation and atmosphere, rather than constant exposition, blending personal trauma with broader biohazard threats.
シューティングっていうのが中心になってくるので、さらに洗練されたガンプレイっていうところにも力を入れてますね。また V を狙って、敵に体術を決める。それから敵が持っていた武器を奪って利用する。
Monster Hunter Stories 3: Twisted Reflection is set to release on March 13, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, continuing Capcom's narrative-driven RPG spin-off with a stronger focus on story, exploration, and strategic combat. Set in a world threatened by a mysterious phenomenon known as the Crystal Encroachment, the game places players in the role of the heir to the Kingdom of Azuria, caught between political tension and environmental collapse as monster habitats begin to destabilize. Gameplay centers on turn-based battles built around the series' rock-paper-scissors combat system, where predicting enemy behavior and coordinating with bonded monsties is key to victory rather than raw reflexes. Players explore large regions to find and hatch monster eggs, raise and customize monsties through genes and elemental affinities, and form tactical party compositions that reward long-term planning. Exploration and progression are closely tied to restoring ecosystems, uncovering ancient secrets, and navigating the fragile relationship between humans and monsters. The story emphasizes emotional bonds, legacy, and responsibility, unfolding through character-driven moments and world-building rather than constant exposition.
Keep an eye out.
You've got this!
Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is scheduled to release on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, marking the next mainline entry in Nintendo's long-running tactical RPG series. Developed by Intelligent Systems, the game introduces a new fantasy setting centered on the Heroic Games, a high-stakes tournament overseen by the Divine Sovereign, who promises to grant the victor's deepest wish. Warriors from rival regions and ideologies are drawn into the conflict, each carrying personal ambitions that shape the unfolding narrative. Gameplay stays true to Fire Emblem's core identity, with turn-based, grid-based battles, where positioning, terrain bonuses, unit classes, and weapon advantages play a decisive role. Classic mechanics such as support relationships and character bonding return, influencing both combat effectiveness and story development, while new systems like Blaze Arts introduce powerful abilities that consume HP to dramatically shift the momentum of battles. Between missions, players manage their army, strengthen bonds, and make narrative choices that impact alliances and outcomes. The story places strong emphasis on fate, ambition, and consequence, unfolding through character-driven moments rather than pure spectacle.
There's a man I hate so much that simply killing him will not satisfy me. For that reason, I refuse to die.
Let you hurt her!
Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is scheduled to release on February 5th, 2026 for Nintendo Switch 2, delivering a fully modernized version of one of the series' most ambitious adventures while preserving its classic JRPG soul. The story begins on the peaceful island of Astard, where a young hero and his friends uncover mysterious map fragments that transport them into the distant past, revealing lost continents sealed away by a dark force and slowly piecing together the truth behind the world's fragmentation. Gameplay remains rooted in traditional turn-based combat, but introduces extensive quality-of-life improvements, including visible overworld enemies, faster battle flow, smarter tactical AI options, and streamlined progression that respects the game's massive scope. A revamped vocation system adds depth by allowing characters to combine roles, unlocking hybrid abilities and flexible party builds that reward experimentation and long-term planning. Exploration is central to the experience, spanning time-shifted regions filled with self-contained stories, towns to restore, and puzzle-driven quests that gradually reshape the present world. Enhanced visuals adopt a handcrafted, diorama-like style that adds warmth and clarity without losing the series' charm.
Flame slash!
And that's the top 15 new games coming to Switch and Switch 2 in 2026. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know what other 2026 games you're hyped about. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to SwitchTop for more Nintendo coverage throughout the year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.